This is Super Yacht News with E. Sisman.
So we have some breaking news here. This incident happened today, just a few hours ago, and you can clearly see two yachts having a bad day. The larger vessel with the grey hull is the 90-meter or 295-foot Lursen motor yacht Ice. The smaller yacht is the 30-meter new marine yacht named A.May, M-E-Y, sorry. The smaller yacht appears to be anchored or has some lines down in the water. It's hard to tell from this video, but the white smaller vessel is not moving. And Ice seems to be moving with quite some pace, and you can see from the video footage that it steams right through the other vessel and seems to continue moving as if there's something wrong, suggesting some sort of mechanical malfunction or failing on the larger yacht of some sort.
Aha vuracak. Aha vurdu. Of of of of of of of of of. Ne yapıyor lan bu?
Tekne gitti ya.
Çok kötü ya. İnşallah birine bir şey olmaz.
The first bit of footage has been posted all over social media already, but we've also got some extra footage here. We've got some damage of the smaller yacht after the crash, and we've also got footage, albeit very low resolution, but you can clearly see the approaching hull of motor yacht Ice taken from on board the smaller vessel. It must have been quite terrifying to see that.
Ne yapıyor ya? Ne yapacağız? Çarpıyor. Çarptı. Yapacak bir şey yok. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
So Ice is over 3,000 gross tons. She's a large yacht for her length, lots of gross tonnage, and you can hear the impact when they make contact there. And in the third video, you can see the damage to the smaller yacht afterwards, and the vessel appears to be constructed from fiberglass. As far as we know, there was no injuries, but you'll have to stay tuned and we'll let you know as soon as we do. But before we move on from that story, actually, something noticeable, if we go back to the first bit of video footage, you can see that the tender garage door is open and as she's moving, which is, it's not a good thing. It's not usually done. Now, remember recently we showed you footage of motor yacht Ethos partially sinking after the tender garage door was open and the vessel took on water. We believe she was at anchor at the time in Greece. A lot of the press said the vessel forgot to close the door, which I don't believe is the case. That vessel was only saved by the fact that the watertight doors were closed in the rest of the vessel. So the water leak, if you like, the water only took on water in the tender garage, but it still really affected the vessel, as you can see. That vessel's been righted now and all the water pumped out. But anyway, as you can see here, Ice got the starboard tender garage door wide open. Ice specs 90 meters or 295 foot, as I said, built by Lursen in 2005. The yacht was once owned by Suleiman Karimov, the person believed to be the owner of motor yacht Amadea, which the US government took from him in Fiji and currently is in control of as it makes its way through the US legal system. The yacht was sold in 2015 and is now linked to the Vice President of Equatorial Guinea. All right, we'll move on to our next story. This is more information about the Bayesian yacht sinking. Cost of the insurance companies on the loss of that sailing yacht. And reporting from Reuters says that insurers of the Bayesian super yacht that sank last month could be facing a $150 million payout, according to the first estimates by industry experts. The yacht was insured against physical damage by yacht insurance provider OMAC, O-M-A-C, and a consortium of insurers including Travelers Company Inc., and Navi Marine and Convex. Its protection and indemnity insurance, which the vessels have to have, or P&I, which typically covers third-party liability claims, including environmental damage, injury and death, was provided by British Marine. Now, the hull was likely insured for around $40 million, while the P&I cover would be larger, insurance sources said. Our understanding is that the cost of the boat was between $40 and $50 million, so the limit of the hull and machinery policy was probably around those values, said Marcos Alvarez, managing director of Morningstar DBRS. The P&I policy would likely be several multiples of the whole policy, or $200 to $300 million, Alvarez said, noting it would also likely cover liability payments even if the captain or crew are found to be negligent. A P&I insurance would also cover recovery of the Bayesian, said Francesco Duboso, country manager for Italy for insurer Alta Signa Group. So big payout there for the insurance companies. Interestingly, the insurance will pay for the raising of the vessel, which I wasn't expecting. The owners had already said they wanted to raise the vessel, so it was going to get raised regardless. Now, the timeline for the raising, well, it could be months. I've seen estimates of at least 2 months, but it is Italy, so lots of bureaucracy. So it's probably going to take much longer than that. We'll obviously keep you informed on that. It's entirely possible the yacht sank regardless of the crew's actions in that weather event, the former captain said. He said it was beyond operational limits when it sank, and the crew only had a very short time to react. So that's very interesting information there. Now, in the previous videos, we talked about, we got information from one of our from an engineer who is a contributor to the channel, and he told us that on the Perini Navi yachts, the lounge doors would slide open when the vessel was heeling at about 20 degrees on the unsinkable yacht. And this could have contributed to the sinking of this yacht, as it would allow the water to flow into the main section of the yacht, down the stairs into the underneath where all of the guests were sleeping. Well, we actually now have some footage of one of these doors failing on a Perini Navi yacht whilst the vessel is underway, just like what was described to us, resulting in an injury of one of the crew who's trying to prevent the doors from being further damaged or damaging something else. Unfortunately, it's from a TV show called Below Deck Sailing Yacht, which I do not watch normally, but they have a very similar yacht, one of the sister vessels, I believe, on the show. Now, this was sent in by one of our subscribers. I don't watch the show, as I said. It was hard to sit through this footage because it's not a show that I would normally watch. It's not really representative of what it's like to work in the industry. But anyway, it does show the door failing and what happens when they do. And you can see somebody gets injured, and if a guest was walking through there, would have injured them. But the fact is that if those doors were in the same condition on this yacht, and they would have just rolled open, right? Now, in a previous video, I talked about the safety issues on board yachts and the fact that most owners, in my experience, and apparently in the experience of pretty much everybody I know, and even people I don't know, all the people who have been contacting me over the last couple of weeks who've worked on yachts, I've asked them, did you ever remember doing any guest drills? And they said that everybody so far has said, no, I've never done that. This is a major difference between the cruise ship industry, of course, which mandates boat drills for the entire vessel to be done for all guests within 24 hours of departure from a port, when they first come on for a new cruise. I think it might change now on yachts, now that everybody's seen what can happen. It might, that complacency might have gone away now from owners. However, even if it does change, it will most likely be temporary if it's just down to them deciding they want to do a boat drill. But I think it does need to change within the rules and regulations, that it should be mandated for people on board. It's for their own interests, really, isn't it? Now, there are other issues with safety on board, certainly in terms of the owners. Not only do they not take part in these drills, but in the construction of yachts, the signage that tells you where escape hatches are, and firefighting equipment and life jackets, etc., which you see on cruise ships all the time and in hotels, but you don't see it on yachts. We're talking about in the guest areas now, not in the crew areas. As a result, the signage is often very small, and it's designed to blend in to all of the normal finishes on the boat, so they're supposed to stand out. That's what they're for. Now, in fact, we've got some information from one of our contributors who is a retired Red Ensign Group class surveyor. And he said there has always been a tug of war between yacht owners and regulators and their representative surveyors with regard to safety signage. All codes require, quite rightly, that the location of critical safety items such as fire extinguishers, life jackets, escape routes, etc. be marked with standardized, clearly visible signs. But on the other hand, owners despise the idea of their multi-million-pound designer interiors being defaced by anything as ugly and mundane as a safety sign. So inevitably, some compromise is reached where the surveyor stretches the definitions as far as possible to appease the owner. And the owners reluctantly accept the absolute minimum signage that they can get away with and still stay within the codes. This issue is particularly relevant when it comes to escape hatches, which are not only marked with minimal signage, but are all too often hidden behind faux lockers, doors, or removable trim panels, which means that most of the time, unless they're told in a safety briefing or go out of their way to find out, guests on any yacht are very unlikely to know the locations and the operation of the escape hatch in their particular cabin. So it's, that's very interesting, isn't it? That not only do they not take part, but even if they were trying to find their way out, and the signs wouldn't help them really because they're hidden. And I can confirm that that is the case on the yachts that I've worked on. Interestingly, one of the yachts I worked on, the owner's wife wanted a piece of furniture in a particular place on board the yacht, and in that particular place there was an escape hatch from the engine room below, but she didn't care and she wanted this piece of furniture in that particular location. So every time the owners came on board, that piece of furniture was placed on top of that escape hatch, and then when the owners left the vessel, the piece of furniture was moved off again. So if there'd been an emergency during the boss trip, then the engineers could have potentially been stuck inside and not been able to escape through that escape hatch. It's time for a Friday Yacht Spot. We haven't done this for a few weeks because of what happened. If you're new to the channel, and we've had over 25,000 new subscribers in the last sort of 2 weeks. Anyway, this is where we show footage of yachts or photos of yachts from around the world taken by you, the viewer. The first footage or the first photos we have here are from the massive behemoth motor yacht Octopus. This is my favorite yacht in the world. 126 meter or 413 foot mega yacht was once owned by the late Paul Allen of Microsoft fame, and it was spotted in Reykjavik in Iceland recently, not in Ireland. The yacht is now one of the largest yachts in the world, even though it's over 20 years old. And it's one of the largest charter yachts in the world as well. And it's seen the likes of Beyonce and Lewis Hamilton on board. Now, Octopus recently finished a 9-month refit in the shipyard in Germany. The yacht was on a maiden voyage since becoming a charter vessel in 2022, I believe. And it was doing a cruise around the world, and different people were chartering it as it traveled around the world. But it got some issues with the engines. I believe it was shaft bearings. And just on the other side, on the Pacific side of the Panama Canal, vessel was stuck there for months. I think it was like 3 or 4 months while they waited for these parts to be made and delivered. And then eventually getting fixed, the vessel went to the Antarctic, and that's where Lewis Hamilton chartered the vessel. He flew down to the Antarctic and he was on board for, I don't know, it was a week or a few days.
Getting ready to go snowboarding. Oh, 44.
Anyway, the yacht went into Germany just after that trip to the Antarctic, went into refit, and it had a 9-month refit. No doubt they would have addressed those issues that they had as well. Next boat on the list, motor yacht Aviva. This is in the UK. This footage was taken in August. I don't remember the exact date, but it's in Kingsway in Devon. The yacht is owned by Joe Lewis. No, not the boxer, but the billionaire, Mr. Lewis, who was formerly the owner of Tottenham Hotspur, the British football team. I don't know whether he's still the owner, but he was recently convicted of insider trading and fined over $30 million. I think it was $25 million for his company and $5 million for himself. He was convicted of giving insider information to some of his employees, including helicopter pilots, and he also loaned them, I think it was like $500,000 each to invest in this company. He's now in his 80s, didn't get any jail time after that conviction. Aviva is a 98 meter or 321 foot yacht built by Aberking and Rasmussen in Germany. And lastly, today we have Golden Odyssey, the 123 meter or 400 foot yacht. This is a big yacht as well, over 8,000 gross tons, almost 8,000 gross tons, 32 guests, which is puts it in the passenger yacht code, 60 crew. Now, this yacht was sold in 2022 after being seized in Malta due to an outstanding debt in excess of 116 million euros. The vessel was arrested by Deutsche Bank and sold at auction for an estimated 150 million euros. Now, after a long stint in refit, the vessel is now cruising again after basically sitting in Malta for a few years while it was arrested and being seized. Interestingly, there's a link between Golden Odyssey and the first yacht we featured, Ice. When the Golden Odyssey was with a previous owner, it was part of a fleet, and they had a support vessel, a 67-meter support yacht called Golden Shadow, and that yacht was sold and bought by the same person who is linked to Motor Yacht Ice. So there's the connection. Okay, guys, don't forget to check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/csysman. You'll find many videos that will never be published on YouTube, including behind-the-scenes footage from trips, our Atlantic vlog series, plus extra videos on the sinking of the Bayesian sailing yacht, and much more. You can find it all at patreon.com/jsysman. All right, guys, if you've got any information for us about any stories here or any other stories, please be sure to get in touch. You can do it in the normal fashion. You can get us in the email address in the ticker. Remember, it's changed. And you can get us on the About page of the YouTube channel. You can get us on Instagram, on Facebook Messenger, and also on 30m. Some of those others have changed as well. The Yacht Report instead of eSysman Superyachts. Please be sure to like this video. Very important for the algorithm. Hit the subscribe button and hit the bell for future notifications. And I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll catch up with you soon. All right, bye-bye.